resets blood sugar levels and reverses type 2. Thousands of people are apparently regaining control of their blood sugar every night as they sleep by adding one unusual ingredient to a glass.
6:30 means 6:30, right? So, good. Good evening. My name is John Burns. I have the privilege of being Golden Valley's CEO. I'm also privileged and honored to welcome you to this evening's Golden Valley Annual Member Meeting. It's wonderful to see so many familiar faces, and it was especially enjoyable for me to have talked to so many of you before the meeting this evening out in the foyer. And so thank you very much for being here on what really is a beautiful spring day. Before we begin tonight's meeting, I ask two things of you. The first is to please silence your cell phones. And the second is to please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is over here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Golden Valley will always be guided by our mission to provide safe, reliable electricity to our members at fair and reasonable prices, and by our three core principles: safety, mission focus, and fiscal responsibility. In addition to our mission and our core principles, Golden Valley is also guided by the 7 cooperative principles up on the screen behind me: voluntary and open membership, democratic member control, members' economic participation, autonomy and independence, education, training and information, cooperation among cooperatives, and concern for communities. As a member-owned, not-for-profit cooperative, Golden Valley is responsible for serving the best interests of our entire membership, all 36,199 members, residential and businesses. The decisions that Golden Valley's management and board make, both short-term and long-term, must be and will always be made in the best interest of the collective whole. Now, you will hear during tonight's presentations that this is a time of unprecedented potential and opportunity for Golden Valley and for the Rail Belt. And although Golden Valley is unquestionably facing challenges, not the least of which is the higher cost of power and the unavailability of energy from South Central, Golden Valley is optimistic and focused on efforts to maximize the opportunities that lay before us, which, once achieved, will help shape our future, and in so doing, stabilize and ultimately lower energy costs, diversify our energy mix, and reduce carbon emissions. Now, although the primary purpose of this evening's meeting is to share information with you about Golden Valley's operations and finances, we also want to hear from you, our members. So at the end of tonight's presentation, members are invited to come up to the microphone and to share comments. Each member will have 2 minutes. When you come up, please prepare to share your name, the district you're from, and please stick to the 2-minute time limit so that everyone has the opportunity to speak. Members listening online are also invited to submit comments to pr@gva.com. Although online comments will not be read aloud at tonight's meeting, they will be reviewed and responded to as appropriate over the next few days. Also, during tonight's meeting, we will be giving away a few prizes. 4 lucky members in attendance tonight will be randomly selected by staff and will each receive a $500 electric credit. Winners will be announced at the end of the meeting. Now, you must be present to win, so please stick around and listen and learn about what your cooperative, Golden Valley, has been doing. You know, as I mentioned earlier, safety is one of Golden Valley's core principles. Safety is fundamental to what we do in our operations and to our success. At Golden Valley, every meeting starts with a safety moment. It's a reminder to our employees and this evening to our members, both to be safe both at work and in your personal lives. So at this time, I would ask that Norm Alden, Golden Valley's safety manager, come forward and please lead us in this evening's safety moment. Thanks, Norm.
Thank you so much, John, and good evening to each one of you out there tonight. As John mentioned, my name is Norm, and I have the privilege to manage safety and health for Golden Valley. Part of our safety creed at Golden Valley is that accidents, they don't just happen, but they are caused. And by determining and working to eliminate the causes, accidents can certainly be prevented. However, this requires constant vigilance and open communications throughout our organization. Tonight, as we quickly inch closer to green up, and many of us will soon be out with chainsaws cutting on our own properties, Golden Valley would like to share with you the proper precautions to take so that you don't cause an accident, jeopardize your own safety, or the safety of those around you. So let's together watch a short instructional video featuring one of GVEA's right-of-way foremen, Art Hughes.
Today we're going to make a video showing you how to safely take down a tree in your backyard or woodlot. Some of the things that you're going to want to start out with are having proper PPE, a helmet or hard hat, some hearing protection, some eye protection, gloves, some high-vis clothing. I'm wearing some chaps so that I don't cut myself, and I'm wearing some boots with a steel toe so that I don't cut my toes off. So take a good look at your surroundings, see where your path of falling is. If you look at it and you have second thoughts, that's a pretty good indicator that it's above your skill level. If you don't have a lot of experience, at least cutting firewood, if the tree is leaning away from where you want it to fall, don't do it. Hire a professional. Also, do not cut around power lines. It's a bad idea. It might not just injure you, somebody might come to help you and they're going to get injured as well. So we've identified that this tree needs to be removed. I see a nice little path right here that's pretty clear, and I'm sure with a good face cut and a solid push we can get it to go right through there. So I'm going to start by putting in a top cut at about a 70-degree angle. Then I'm going to put my bottom cut in, making sure that I don't go past the apex of the top cut. Just going to take a look at it. I think that looks good. Tree is about a foot diameter, so I want 10% of that from a hinge, so I'm looking at about an inch for my hinge width. I'm real happy with that. That went right where we wanted it to go. It didn't hang up, and nobody got injured, and nothing got broken. That's a perfect fall right there.
Ensuring the safety of our employees and our members is one of Golden Valley's core principles. For useful safety tips throughout the year, please visit GVEA's website, where we share a variety of seasonal safety concerns and ways to keep you and your loved ones safe. Now, it's critical to prioritize not only your own safety, but also that of your family and colleagues. GVEA encourage each of you that if you see a hazard, please stop, assess the situation, and say something. It could prevent a tragedy. Now, I'd like to turn it over to Tom DeLong, GVEA's board chair and director from District 2, to officially start this evening's annual meeting.
Thank you, Norm, and thanks to both you and Art for that this evening's safety moment and video on chopping down trees. I'm Tom DeLong, and I have the honor of calling GVEA's annual meeting to order. Thank you all for being here this evening and participating in GVEA's annual meeting. Your engagement and participation as members is what makes our cooperative successful. As we begin, I would like to introduce GVEA's board. Dave Messier, District 1, is our treasurer. I'm Tom DeLong, I'm from District 2, I serve as the chair. Rick Soley is District 3. Gary Newman, District 4, he's our secretary. Chris Bunch, District 5, is our vice chair. Fred Sheen is from District 6, and Todd Adams is from District 7. I'd also like to recognize GVEA's Member Advisory Committee, the MAC. These members are from GVEA's 7 districts, and they meet monthly and act as ambassadors between GVEA and our members, and they provide valuable feedback. On behalf of GVEA's Board of Directors, thank you for your service to the cooperative. I would also like to encourage anyone that would like to join the MAC is to visit gvea.com and apply. We're taking applications through July 31st. Also with us tonight is Golden Valley's Executive Administrative Assistant, Susan Redlin, who will be taking the minutes. As always, Susan, thank you. Thank you also to the GVEA staff that worked to put this event on together, and for all those who volunteered out the booths for tonight's annual meeting. Let's hear it for all the GVEA volunteers. And now I'd like to turn it over to Gary Newman, District 4. He's our board secretary, and he's going to give us proof of the meeting notice and a report on the quorum. Gary.
Thank you, Tom. It's great to see you all here. I have a grand time talking with people outside. They had to drag me back in. I am Gary Newman, and in addition to serving as a director for District 4, I also have the privilege of serving as board secretary. At this time, I'd like to report on the notice of annual meeting and proof of mailing and publication for the 2024 annual meeting. On April 1st of this year, copies of the Ruralite magazine were mailed to all GVEA members of record. The Ruralite contained the notice of annual meeting informing members of the date, time, and place of the annual meeting. In addition, notices were printed on member bills, published in the Fairbanks Daily News Miner and the Delta Wind, aired on radio, posted online, and on social media. GVEA has therefore complied with the notice requirements of our bylaws. I'm also pleased to report that we have 338 members registered at this evening's meeting. As such, we do have a quorum under GVEA's bylaws. With a quorum having been reached, we can now vote on approval of the 2023 meeting minutes. Those minutes are on our website, and printed copies were made available today at the door for those in person. For those members attending online, a link to the meeting minutes is shown on the screen. At this time, I'll ask for a motion from the floor to approve the minutes from 2023. And when you make the motion, please state your name and your district for the record. Okay, thank you, Kathy. I wonder if there's a second out there. What was your name? Okay, thank you very much. So we now have a motion and a second to approve the annual membership meeting of 2023. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign by saying nay. I think the motion carries unanimously. The minutes of the annual meeting are now approved, and I thank you. I'd now like to invite Rick Soley, my fellow director from District 3, and he's chair of the GVEA's Bylaw Committee, and also to talk about this year's director elections and the membership vote on amending our bylaws. So Rick is right here. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary, and thank you all for being here. I'm honored to have the privilege to serve Interior Alaska as a Golden Valley Electric Association director. As John mentioned earlier, one of the 7 cooperative principles that guide Golden Valley as a cooperative is democratic member control. This principle applies to our cooperative through elections, articles of incorporation, and bylaws. There are 7 directors on the board, 1 from each of the 7 geographic districts. Once elected, Golden Valley board members are responsible for acting in the best interest of all the members, not just the members in their district. This year, Golden Valley members who live in Districts 4 and 7 will be electing directors. The April Ruralite introduced you to this year's slate of candidates. Members can also log into Golden Valley's website at gvea.com to learn more about each of the candidates and the election process. We've invited each of the candidates to record a short campaign video that we will now play for you. In District 4, there are two candidates, Gary Newman and Harmony Tomaszewski. Let's hear from them.
Greetings, I'm Gary Newman, now serving on the board. Golden Valley plays a significant role in our community, and I take that responsibility seriously with education, expertise, and dedication. Successfully increasing transparency, I'll continue to advocate ways we can better serve our members. But it's not about me, it's about all of us. It's been challenging the past couple years with the pressure of inflation, supply chain, and keeping our valuable workforce. We all feel it. The latest fuel rate increase was obscene, but we must pay for what we buy to keep the lights on. Reliability is absolutely critical. I do expect the rates to drop June 1. Looking forward, we must accelerate our efforts for more sustainable generation. I'm confident that our strategic generation plan will lead to a more reliable, affordable, and sustainable Golden Valley, and certainly with less volatile rates than we've had for far too long. With my commitment, I'll help steer us in that direction and will always be honest and willing to talk with any member. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Harmony Tomaszewski, your candidate for District 4 Board of Directors. I've lived in Fairbanks for over 40 years, raising my family, volunteering in my community, and running an electrical contracting business. While serving on various boards and committees, I've gained insights into our community's needs. I'll use my experience as a business owner to offer fresh perspectives, ask questions, and devise effective solutions for energy. I've studied the complex issues we face as a cooperative during my 5 years on the Member Advisory Committee at Golden Valley. We keep seeing rate increases and additional costs to our members. We need affordable and reliable energy solutions. I've taken to heart the concerns for our community, and my priorities are rate reduction, greater transparency and leadership, and common sense with sustainable energy. Please vote starting May 3rd and choose a fresh, new voice for affordable energy. Please vote for me, Harmony Tomaszewski. Thank you.
We also have District 7, and there are three candidates for District 7, Todd Adams, Cyrus Cooper, and Krista Zappone. Let's hear from them now.
Hello, I'm Todd Adams. It is my privilege to call Nenana home for over 25 years now. I currently represent District 7 for the GVEA Board of Directors and am pleased to be running for re-election. In my 40-plus years of experience in the energy industry, I've been dedicated to conservation and optimization of electrical systems. My career has been focused on providing the lowest cost, reliability, and safety in large, complex building environments. In my first term, we assessed a multitude of strategic generation options to meet the best interest of the co-op and the members as a whole. These original plans have been a challenge to implement as conditions have been constantly changing, some negative and some positive. We continue to face difficult energy choices at every level, from local to global. The planning made today will carry us long into the future. I would appreciate your support in order to contribute more to these important decisions. Thank you.
Alaskans of Golden Valley Electric Association. My name is Cyrus Cooper of Healy, and I am a candidate for District 7 Board of Directors. I am concerned about the future of our association and its commitment to environmental preservation, to sustainable and affordable power, and our ability to consistently produce and deliver electrical energy in our service area. Presently, we suffer some of the highest prices for electrical energy in the country, and I directly question how our members can sustain such financial pressures over the long term. I do not believe we are presently meeting our stated cooperative principles or the strategic generation plan goals as reflected on our association website. With your help, I seek to see such conditions reversed. As your District 7 board member, I pledge to get the best possible for our district and to ensure your voices are consistently heard for the betterment of our association. Thank you for your support.
Hi, I'm Krista Zappone, a candidate for Golden Valley's District 7. I am running for director to fully represent my friends and neighbors in the district as well as our members in other districts around the state. Having experience in wind energy, I understand the complexities of renewable energy and what infrastructure it takes to operate them successfully. That being said, I also understand the needs for stable baseload generation facilities and their preventative maintenance or repair. Looking forward to Golden Valley's future, I am hopeful that together there can be innovative solutions to our electric needs that not only serve us as members, but also our environment as a whole. Thank you.
Thanks to all of our candidates for their willingness to serve. Another example of Democratic member control is voting on Golden Valley's bylaws. This year, Golden Valley will be submitting bylaw revisions for a full vote of the membership. When GVEA was incorporated in 1946, the bylaws were approved to govern the cooperative. While sections of the bylaws have been amended over the years, the Board of Directors felt strongly that a thorough review was needed to ensure that the bylaws meet the best interests of GVEA's membership and provide the flexibility to run the cooperative in an efficient and cost-effective manner. Over the past 2 years, Golden Valley's Bylaw Review Committee, which is comprised of board members, management, and staff, met numerous times to review GVEA bylaws and propose amendments to the full board for consideration. Golden Valley's Board of Directors reviewed and approved the proposed bylaw amendments and has recommended that the bylaws be submitted to the members for a vote as a general revision. Golden Valley members will be asked to vote either yes or to vote no on whether to approve the proposed bylaw general revision. Golden Valley's Bylaw Review Committee and GVEA's Board of Directors would urge the members to vote yes. The proposed amendments are either housekeeping in nature or they are more substantive. A substantive change, for example, allows for both electronic and in-person participation in meetings and and in voting on cooperative matters, which provides greater opportunity and flexibility to the members. Starting next week, all Golden Valley members will receive a bylaw election packet that outlines the specific amendments being proposed and explains why the amendments are being recommended. That same information will be available on Golden Valley's website. Voting will open on May 3rd for both the candidate elections in those districts that have them and for all Golden Valley districts for the bylaw election. All ballots must be returned by June 4th, and for those who vote online, voting will close at 5 p.m. on June 4th. Results of the bylaw vote will be announced on June 6th. On June 6th, we will also announce the results of the Districts 4 and 7 director elections. If sufficient turnout and a majority vote yes, the votes for the bylaw amendments, that will be approved and will go into effect on August the 1st. All members who cast a valid ballot will be entered into a drawing to win free electricity for 6 months based on the average residential usage of 600 kilowatt hours per month. The winner will be drawn on June 6th following the ballot count. Golden Valley thanks you in advance for exercising your right to vote. Another of the 7 cooperative principles is concern for communities. This is central to Golden Valley. And to share more about how GVEA models this principle, I'd like to ask Chris Bunch, District 5 Director and Vice Chair of GVEA's board, to come and join us. Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. An important part of being an electric cooperative is our concern to community that we serve. GVEA and our employees embrace this concern by helping out and giving back to our communities from Cantwell to Delta. As part of our community efforts, GVEA has had a scholarship program in place since 2002 that has awarded over $668,000 in scholarship funds to the bright minds of the interior of Alaska. This year, Golden Valley will be awarding $39,000 in scholarships, providing opportunities and assistance to 8 individuals with direct ties to your community. The scholarship money comes from unclaimed capital credits that has no impact on members' rates. I'm honored to announce our 2024 scholarship winners. Career and Technical Education Scholarship for $3,500. It's awarded to Christopher Graham, UAF CTC Welding, District 7. 3 continuing educations. Yep, let's give them a round of applause. There's quite a few more though. So 3 continuing education scholarships for $3,000 awarded to Alden Jerome, the University of Glasgow from District 5, Joshua Myers, Patrick Henry College, District 2, Will Tamayo, University of Michigan, District 7, and now for the 3 academic scholarships for $3,500 each awarded to Kira O'Connor, North Pole High School, District 3, Sophia Schultze, North Pole High School, District 5, and Hannah Willis, West Valley High School, District 2. And finally, for our $16,000 academic scholarship, it's awarded to Ainsley Sauer, a Monroe Catholic High School graduate, or soon-to-be graduate, District 5. So I was going to say, let's give a big hand to these exceptional students, but we've already been there. But let's congratulate them again, because they're exceptional students and they're all part of our community and they've done a great, outstanding job. So another incredible way that GVEA members support our local community is through the Good Sense program, which was established by our members in 2011 to support interior nonprofits. Good Sense is a voluntary roundup program funded through the generosity of the GVEA members and is an easy way for members to give back to their communities. By contributing just a few cents a month by rounding up your electric bills to the nearest dollar, each of us together make a significant impact. To see the real impact that our collective few cents make on the lives of others, let's hear from the Good Sense grant recipient.
Indiana is a small town. We have a population of about 400. In rural Alaska, if we're talking about search and rescue in the backcountry, their patients' lives are in our hands for quite a while. So I started doing a lot of research and I found the Snowbylance. This is the Snowbylance. This is where we load the patient. It opens up just like an ambulance does. If you're out in the backcountry and it takes you 2.5 hours to get to the patient, having that piece of equipment, it could make the difference between life and death. By having them out of the environment in an enclosed capsule where we can warm them up appropriately, that's the name of the game. The Good Sense program for small departments like us is a lifesaver. My biggest fear is going out to rescue somebody and not being able to effect the rescue because I don't have the proper equipment. And I really don't have to worry about that now because Golden Valley has stepped up, has given us the money to purchase these 2 snowmobiles and the Snowbylance. And without that, we couldn't do our job effectively. So the Good Sense program has saved at least 4 lives and will continue saving many more. So thank you.
Members who participate in the Good Sense program will give an average of $6 a year. That's just 50 cents a month. Since 2011, the Good Sense program has given nearly $1.7 million to the interior nonprofits. This is something to be proud of, Give yourselves a big round of applause. So thank you to our members who participate in the Good Sense program. Your generosity is very much appreciated and makes a tremendous difference to our communities. I also want to thank the Good Sense Board of Trustees. I have the honor of serving as a member on this voluntary board. The board meets quarterly to review applications and award grants to nonprofits like the Nenana Fire Department. GVEA and our employees also have a legacy of supporting our communities through our participation in the United Way of the Tanana Valley Workplace Giving Campaign. Through donations and other fundraising events, over the past year, GVEA and its employees raised and donated nearly $60,000 to the United Way. This money directly impacts and benefits local communities. In addition to the program I just mentioned, GVEA employees also volunteer throughout the year to other nonprofits and community events such as Stone Soup Cafe, Interior Center for Nonviolent Living, the Fairbanks Community Food Bank, Heart Walk, Cleanup Day, and many others. GVEA and our employees love the community that we serve, and together with our members, we continue to make a significant impact. Now I'd like to introduce Fred Sheen, Director from District 6, to discuss GVEA's focus on operational reliabilities. Fred?
Thanks, Chris. Operational reliability lies at the heart of Golden Valley's mission. GVEA's service territory is no stranger to frigid temperatures, so minimizing outages is paramount to GVEA and our members. Every decision that GVEA makes is centered on ensuring that we can provide safe, reliable electric service to our members. Golden Valley's reliability stands at over 99.9%, a level consistently maintained, but there is always room for improvement. No matter the time of day or season, Golden Valley employees are working to provide electricity to our members. And when outages happen, as they sometimes do during major storm or disruption, they work tirelessly to restore power as soon as possible. As a former GVEA lineman, I can personally attest to this. Keeping the lights on is a collective effort by our outstanding employees that takes diligence, determination, and continuous desire to improve. Now let's hear from some GVEA employees on reliability and what it takes to power the interior.
Not just one person or team on their own can keep the lights on. It takes a village, and we're all dependent on each other.
Golden Valley cannot maintain reliability of our system without getting our skilled workers from point A to point B. So maintenance is of the utmost importance.
My administrative team is providing the support to these groups along with other ones within the organization, making sure that they have the tools that they need.
The warehouse team, we've just got to make sure that we've got the materials available to the folks that need them when they need them, not just during normal working times, but obviously when we hit high stress points like outages.
So when there is a major outage, it really takes everyone to pitch in to do what we can.
It's often hectic. We've got crews in all directions. It can be daunting trying to figure out where certain pieces of equipment are that are broken.
Every outage is different. They hit different times of the year, summer, winter. We just behave every day that we're prepared when we leave for the day that an outage could happen.
When the pressure's on, our team is a dedicated team of mechanics. They're very knowledgeable in their jobs, so they just get to work and fix the problem at hand.
Everyone's kind of doing their part individually, but there has to be significant communication altogether to be able to successfully get through that, have the crews getting what they need, and also providing the information we need to the membership.
We take a lot of ownership in that because folks are depending on us.
Our teams work really well together. There's definitely a camaraderie. It's all hands on deck. We strive to be excellent and continue to keep the power on, and reliability is important to us.
Despite the fact that GVEA employees diligently work to provide reliable electricity, some things are beyond our control. Trees, for instance, are a significant cause of outages, especially those falling from far outside utility easements. Members can help prevent these types of outages by hiring qualified individuals to remove these dead or leaning trees before they can cause outages. It is important that members keep easements clear of personal property so that crews can do their jobs effectively, and most important, safely. Each year, our crews encounter hundreds of obstacles within the right-of-way, such as concrete barriers, old vehicles, garbage, you can only imagine. Sometimes it is so extensive that it prevents crews from being able to access power facilities. These obstacles require additional time, effort, and cost to work around, which impacts all of our members. These obstacles can also become hidden over time, posing safety hazards to our crews and damaging equipment. So keep our crews safe by ensuring that your personal property remains out of the right-of-way. A clear right-of-way allows for safer, faster, cheaper clearing and ensures high system reliability. So remember, be a hero, make it zero. That's zero stuff in the right-of-way. With that, Dave Messier will provide an update on GVEA's finances.
Well, thank you, Fred. Good evening. My name is Dave Messier, and I'm glad to be here. And I really appreciate all of you making the time to come and be at your cooperative's annual meeting. So I have the pleasure of serving as the board representative for District 1, which is my district, and I also have the privilege of serving as the board treasurer. Please note that Golden Valley's full financial statements and reports are available on gvea.com, and if you've got any questions as a cooperative, those statements are available for all of the members to view. Financially, as you all know, it was a challenging year for Golden Valley and our members. The price of goods and services on everything from groceries to materials to labor went up. And that's happening across the nation. And unfortunately, it translates into higher electric rates for our members. Now, as noted in the meeting earlier, reliability for our cooperative especially is critical. We often say around the boardroom that we will not let our utility system be what happened in Texas in 2021 when temperatures plummeted and the lights turned off, because that would be disastrous for our community. But keeping the power on has seen significant cost increases over the last year, and these prices unfortunately continued to climb. In addition to GVEA's fluctuating cost of power, just about everything else that we use to generate and supply our members with electricity is going up. The cost of overhead wire, which Golden Valley purchases a lot of, has increased over 200%. A transformer, which a few years ago was $23,000, has gone up to nearly $50,000. And even the cost of our power poles are up 146%. So similarly, labor costs, if you guys might have noticed if you're engaging with contractors, we've seen the same increases, both for contractors and for in-house labor. And at the same time, inflation has caused both depreciation and interest expenses to grow. So the bottom line and unfortunate reality is that it's costing Golden Valley more to provide reliable electricity services to our members. And I'm sorry to report that as of June 1st, even though we are hopeful that we'll see a decrease in our cost of power adjustment, the utility charge portion of our members' bills will be going up by roughly or less than 1 cent per kilowatt hour. Now, that portion of a member's bill is the utility charge, and that's separate from the COPA charge. The utility charge covers the cost of our substation and our generating plants, and the increase is necessary, in the board's opinion and our finance department's description, to ensure that we've got a safe level of operating margins and the ability to meet our financial covenants on our debt. In 2023, GVEA's operating margins were just over $590,000, considerably less than they were in 2022, while non-operating margins were just over $3.8 million, bringing our total margins to the year for just over $4.5 million. While these margins were lower than anticipated, we were able to meet our financial obligations and debt covenants thanks to the efforts of management and staff to cut costs and keep expenses low wherever possible, all while providing efficient and reliable electricity. So notwithstanding the lower than anticipated margins, GVEA's equity ratio was at 35%, which is well within the industry standard and in excess of most generation, transmission, and distribution cooperatives, or GT&Ds. Equity is a key indicator of our financial health and something that our lenders specifically keep an eye on to make sure that we're financially healthy. Another indicator of GVEA's financial health is our cooperative's ability to pay capital credits back to our members. As a not-for-profit cooperative, GVEA does not earn profits. Instead, each year that revenues exceed expenses, the co-op earns margins. Those margins are then allocated to members and used to pay for capital projects which are necessary to provide safe, reliable power. This helps reduce GVEA's borrowing needs and our associated interest payments. And unlike a private for-profit utility, GVEA repays those margins to our members over a 25-year cycle. That's part of the beauty of an electric co-op, a business model that's not driven by profit for external stakeholders, but one that collectively benefits all of our members. Now, despite the challenges of this past year, in 2023, GVEA's board authorized and paid approximately $7 million in capital credits to members of record from 1998 and earlier. In fact, over the years of the history of our organization, we've paid out capital credits totaling nearly $120 million, which is something that we are immensely proud of and look forward to being able to continue for our membership. Well, I'm pleased to report that GVEA was able to meet our operational needs while complying with debt covenants. As you all know, we continue to struggle with high rates. And as members who pay GVEA electric bills ourselves, our board is acutely aware of these challenges. And it's something that we're very focused on trying to do something about. That's the reason that our board and our utility have been focused on a multi-year look at our strategic generation plan to ensure that as a utility, we aren't just focused on electric rates and reliability in 2025, but that we're looking down the road towards electric rates and reliability in 2045. As we look at staying financially healthy over the next 20 years, one thing is certain. As a utility, we need to be ready to adapt, since both the generation mix and member needs of tomorrow will look very different than the generation mix and member needs of the past. And as our electric meters turn into at-home gas stations for electric vehicle owners, and heat pumps, even with Golden Valley's electric rates, are able to supply home heating at less than the delivered cost of heating oil for parts of the year, GVEA is looking at how we can be ready as a co-op to provide more kilowatt hours to our members where appropriate, since future load growth could help to stabilize rates as we try to spread our fixed costs over more kilowatt hours. So I'd now like to ask John Burns to come back up to the podium to share with you where we currently are in terms of rates, where we're hoping to go, and how we intend to get here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Now, as you've heard this evening, Golden Valley's reliability in terms of operational effectiveness and the ability to keep the lights on is excellent. Where we are challenged, however, is in terms of rates, most specifically in our cost of power. The cost to Golden Valley of generating and purchasing the energy that's needed to meet the electric demands of our members. The most recent quarter, the 3 months that began in March and that continues through May, saw the highest increase in the fuel and purchase power rate the Golden Valley's members had previously experienced. It now stands at around 16.6 cents a kilowatt hour. To be clear, the cost of power charge is a direct pass-through. Whatever it actually costs Golden Valley to generate and purchase the electricity needed to meet your electric demands is the cost that you, our members, pay. There is no markup, and there are no hidden charges. The rate is high. GVEA knows it, and we are as frustrated about it as you are. But it is an essential cost to keep the lights on. Now, the cost of power charge is adjusted on a quarterly basis. It is a combination of two factors. The first is a projection of what Golden Valley anticipates the cost to be for the 3 months going forward. And second, it's a true-up of the cost of power for the previous 3 months. These two factors in combination impact the cost of power, sometimes positively and sometimes, as in this most recent quarter, negatively. The forward-looking projection is based on 3 items. The first is what Golden Valley anticipates members' electric demands will be for the upcoming quarter. That's what we call our load. The second is the generation sources, including purchased power sources, that Golden Valley anticipates will be available to meet that load. And the third is the anticipated cost of the fuels and purchased power that's used to generate that energy. Now, the look-back component of the cost of power charge is a true-up, as I said, from the previous quarter. In other words, how did we do in our projections for the quarter compared to what it actually cost Golden Valley to generate and purchase the energy that was needed to meet our demands? If the actual cost exceeds what Golden Valley had projected, as was the case this past quarter, the difference is collected from members by increasing the cost of power for the upcoming quarter, which, as we are all now experiencing, can result in a significant rate increase. Now, similarly, if during any quarter when the actual cost of generating and purchasing power turns out to be cheaper than what Golden Valley had projected, that savings typically results in a reduction in the cost of power charged to members during the upcoming quarter. Now, to be specific, of the 16.6 cent cost of power charge that is currently on your monthly electric bill, 3.3 cents is directly attributable to the fact that GVEA's actual cost to generate and purchase energy during the previous quarter was significantly higher than what GVEA had originally projected. The increase in costs were primarily due to 3 factors. The first is that Healy Unit 2 was offline almost 6 weeks, 26 days longer than anticipated. The second is that the higher fuel prices for the fuel that Golden Valley used in generating the electricity that we anticipated would have been generated by Healy 2. And the third is the unavailability of energy from South Central due to Cook Inlet gas shortages, which in turn required Golden Valley to use expensive fuel oil in our frame units to generate energy. The cost of power is high. You know it, we know it, and our employees, who are also members and who pay the same high cost, know it. And I assure you, we are working to reduce costs. In the meantime, we understand and appreciate that the burden of these high costs falls heavier on some members than on others. And for those members who require additional assistance in paying their monthly electric bill, Golden Valley offers several options. So I encourage you to contact Golden Valley at ms@gva.com to learn about these payment options. Likewise, if you have any questions about your electric usage or your electric bill, please contact Golden Valley. Now, what I've just shared with you is the reality of our present situation. It's not an excuse, but rather an explanation of why the cost of power component on your bill is so high. Nonetheless, even though Golden Valley does not control the cost of power, just as none of us control the price of gasoline at the fuel pump, what the situation underscores is the critical need for Golden Valley to aggressively pursue efforts to diversify our energy sources to secure reliable, lower-cost alternative energy. And that's why in June of 2022, Golden Valley's board adopted a 5-part strategic generation plan that was focused on lowering rates, increasing reliability, and decreasing emissions. The plan called for, first was adding emission controls on our Healy Unit 1 coal plant, one of Golden Valley's lowest cost, most reliable units. The second was closing the Healy 2 coal plant by December 31, 2024, Golden Valley's most unreliable and most expensive unit to operate and maintain. Third and fourth were adding wind and energy storage, and the fifth was replacing the energy output of Healy 2 with energy from South Central, which at the time we expected to be a fairly certain outcome, given that bringing Healy 2, prior to bringing Healy 2 online, Golden Valley had historically and even recently been able to bring up 60 to 70 megawatts of energy up the intertie from South Central on a daily basis. Now, unfortunately, the situation has changed in the intervening 2 years since the board originally adopted the June 2022 Strategic Generation Plan. Most notably, in the availability, or let me be clear, the unavailability of natural gas in Cook Inlet. The lack of gas has significantly impacted Golden Valley's ability to purchase energy from South Central, and there is little likelihood that that situation is going to change anytime soon. As a result, Golden Valley must maintain its ability to generate the electricity needed by our members until alternative, reliable, lower-cost energy is available. Because of these changed circumstances, in February, Golden Valley's board modified their strategic generation plan for the best interests of our members and to provide flexibility in achieving our objectives. The two most notable modifications were to items 2 and 5. The lack of energy available from South Central requires that Golden Valley continue to operate Healy 2 until such time as Golden Valley can secure lower cost, reliable, long-term alternative energy with which to replace the generation output from Healy 2. The other three components remain essentially the same in terms of adding large-scale wind, energy storage, and completing the additional emission controls on our Healy Unit 1 plant, which I'm happy to say is ahead of schedule and on budget. Golden Valley is committed to achieving the objectives of our strategic generation plan, and also in taking full advantage of the federal funding opportunities that were announced in 2023 that will help minimize the financial burden on our members. So let's hear a little bit more from the strategic team leading those efforts.
So in the fall of 2020, we realized that we really needed to look at our whole fleet of generation. We have a lot of aging infrastructure. We're looking to reduce rates. We're looking to increase reliability. And we're also looking to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. So we assembled an interdisciplinary group from across the organization. This team has just been incredible to work with. And we started pondering, what would GVEA's future look like? We take these different mixes of generation, and then we start running at what does the hourly generation look like? Literally, we've been doing hundreds of these different scenarios, looking at what the impacts over time are going to be. The evolution of what we're going through right now and the speed of the change is kind of unprecedented in the utility world. If we don't get this right, we really are sacrificing affordability, we're sacrificing reliability, and our ability to serve our members. So, yeah, consequences are high. Anytime you're looking at change and something new, it does create both of those elements of some angst and a lot of excitement. We are looking in the next decade to significantly change the profile of how we generate power.
So, as you can hopefully appreciate, the issues are complex and the decisions consequential and significant. GVEA is fortunate, however, to have a capable, dedicated group of employees and consultants who are assisting us. And one of those employees is Naomi Morton-Knight, Golden Valley's environmental officer and the lead member of Golden Valley's strategic generation team. So Naomi, why don't you come on up and share with the group what your team has been doing and progress to date.
Thank you, John, and it's great to see everybody here this evening. I'm Naomi Morton-Knight. I'm an engineer and the environmental officer here at GVEA, and I have been honored to lead the GVEA strategic generation team. This is something that is so impactful to the future of the interior here and my hometown here in Fairbanks. This initiative is exciting, but I won't lie, at times it's incredibly daunting and unbelievably complex. As new technology materializes and Alaska's energy landscape evolves, it is so important for GVEA to be able to pivot in certain directions so that we continue to make the best choices for our memberships. Challenge is added to this process when we also take into consideration GVEA's unique islanded grid and where we are. You have heard us stress tonight how critical reliability is. And while it may seem at times that we're moving slow, it is vitally important that we get these decisions and ultimate changes in our power generation right. And to do this, it takes intensive analysis, multiple iterations, modeling, and thoughtful deliberation. And all of this is necessary in order to reach an educated and viable solution. And this is what we've been working on, and I want to share a little bit of what we've been doing this last year. As John mentioned, started in 2022. In this year, the installation of the selective catalytic reduction system on Healy Unit 1 will be completed well ahead of the regulatory timeline of December 31st. With this installation, GVEA will be able to operate Healy Unit 1, one of our most reliable and cheapest sources of generation, well into the foreseeable future while having the added benefit of reducing emissions. Additionally, in 2023, GVEA initiated a request for proposal for a large-scale wind facility. We received and evaluated bid proposals before ultimately narrowing the field to 2 final bidders. GVEA has been actively engaging with these bidders to negotiate and develop potential wind purchase power agreements. And Tom's going to touch on here in a moment. It is really important to understand that with the addition of any of these new wind projects, they need to be tied to the addition of a new battery energy storage system. GVEA is currently pursuing 2 separate lithium-ion battery energy storage systems. The first, a system capable of delivering 46 megawatts over a 2-hour period, primarily to replace GVEA's existing yet aging battery energy storage system. The second, significantly larger battery energy storage system will facilitate the addition of our selected wind and solar projects. GVEA has performed and continues to work on multiple studies to right-size these final battery configurations while also refining detailed cost estimates while we're also working to secure funding for these projects. And another exciting development in 2023 was the award of a $50 million Department of Energy grant to GVEA in partnership with Westinghouse. This grant is for a long-term energy storage demonstration project. What is long duration, you might ask? The Department of Energy identifies long-duration energy storage as that which can provide at least 8 hours of stored energy. The proposed project we're looking at has the potential of providing the equivalent of 100 megawatts over a 12-hour period to help regulate the integration of variable renewable energy onto GVEA's system. GVEA and Westinghouse are now working and are undertaking and working on the engineering design studies to prove out the capabilities of this exciting technology, but scaled to utility size. All these opportunities are monumental. However, GVEA cannot afford the energy storage systems and upgrades alone. To expand the opportunities available to our members, and ultimately to seek to lower the rates as much as possible, over the last year, GVEA has aggressively pursued grants and other federal funding opportunities available for these projects. In 2023, GVEA applied for 2 significant funding opportunities offered through the Rural Utilities Services with the USDA. The first is the Powering Affordable Clean Energy Program, or PACE, and the second is the Empowering Rural America Program, known as New Era. Assistance available under these programs include combinations of grants, loan forgiveness, and even 0% interest loans. GVEA is pursuing funding assistance for both of the battery projects I mentioned, and also the transmission and substation infrastructure needed to interconnect independent power producers capable of providing up to 150 megawatts of wind and 16 megawatts of solar. And all of this is going to be through through power purchase agreements. In addition to those federal funding opportunities, GVEA is also looking to leverage newly available investment tax credits that will yet further reduce the cost to members on the battery energy storage systems. We are seeing success in these efforts. In September of last year, GVEA was formally invited to apply for the PACE program. Our application has been well received, and we are eagerly awaiting final award from the Rural Utilities Service. GVEA also submitted a letter of interest in September for a whole slate of projects under the New Era program, and we're looking forward to submitting a full application under that competitive program. As you are hearing, it has been a busy year for GVEA as we work towards the generation mix of our future, and the work is just beginning. With that, I would like to invite back up Tom DeLong.
Thank you, Naomi. While GVEA's strategic generation plan's main focus is reliability and cost, reducing emissions is also a critical component, both in terms of responsibility to be good stewards of the environment and many members' demands to reduce carbon emissions, including some of our largest industrial members. That said, the board's responsibility is to make decisions that are in the best interest of GVEA's entire membership, regardless of the issue or the interests involved. The issue of adding additional wind to GVEA's generation portfolio, for instance, is not simply a matter of saying yes or no. Rather, it requires GVEA to understand how much wind our system can absorb from a technical and operational perspective, as well as what other generation sources are available to maintain reliability when the wind stops blowing. And we ultimately have to understand the cost to you, GVEA's members, of adding these renewable generation sources and associated regulation. I can assure you that GVEA is committed to reducing carbon emissions and, as we mentioned earlier, transitioning our generation must be in a way that strikes balance between reliability and cost effectiveness. Transformative change. The electricity industry is going through a transformative change. Transformative change does not happen overnight. It requires careful planning, rational decision-making, and financial investment. Additionally, supply chain constraints and Alaska's short construction season extends timelines and requires careful, alignment of project phases. Considering all of these factors, as John mentioned previously, in February, GVEA's board made the decision to modify GVEA's strategic generation plan to provide more flexibility as we focus on efforts to find alternative, lower cost, reliable energy so that we can reduce our reliance on expensive carbon-based energy. GVEA's board has a fiduciary obligation to ensure that the decisions we make are made in the best interest of all of our members, and that's both for today and for tomorrow. We also realize that we can't do it alone. Now I'd like to invite John back to the podium to discuss GVEA efforts to engage the full rail belt.
Thanks, Tom. As hopefully is apparent, although Golden Valley is experiencing headwinds in terms of energy costs, there are also opportunities, which, if we are successful in achieving, can and will enable Golden Valley to diversify our energy sources, to stabilize and ultimately reduce rates, and ultimately also to reduce emissions without jeopardizing reliability. However, there is only so much that Golden Valley on its own can achieve. To achieve long-lasting transformative change that will ensure that the lowest cost electron from wherever it is generated, from whatever source, can be transported unconstrained to wherever it is needed on the rail belt. Golden Valley and the other rail belt utilities must work cooperatively and collaboratively with one another, the legislature, the governor, and the Alaska Energy Authority. The 5 utilities that comprise the rail belt, from Homer to Fairbanks, cannot afford to operate independently in isolation of one another. The rail belt utilities and the state must embrace a much larger vision. To speak more about that vision and the rail belt is Golden Valley's Chief Operating Officer, Travis Millian. Travis joined Golden Valley in September with more than 10 years of electric utility experience in Alaska, including as the former Chief Operating Officer and most recently as CEO of Copper Valley Electric Association in Glen Allen. Travis has been an outstanding addition to Golden Valley and has been instrumental in working on behalf of Golden Valley with the other railroad utilities. Travis, come on up.
Thank you. As John said, my name is Travis Millian. I have the privilege of serving as Golden Valley's Chief Operating Officer. I am delighted to be part of our cooperative and to take part in the decisions that will help shape our future generation. Before I begin speaking about rail belt collaboration, I'd like to give a brief explanation about transmission constraints and the need for redundancy that you've heard about tonight. But what exactly does that mean? To better visualize what we're talking about, think about driving between North Pole and Fairbanks before or after work. The flow of traffic is undoubtedly slower during these rush hours because there are limitations or constraints to how many vehicles can travel on this particular road at a time. But now let's look at the current transmission line between South Central and Healy. This line can move approximately 70 megawatts of electricity in either direction between South Central and Healy. In contrast, Golden Valley's peak load is nearly 3 times that amount, or 200 megawatts. So adding a second transmission line would be similar to adding a second highway in parallel, allowing a more efficient flow of traffic in your morning or evening commute. Now, you may ask, why does that matter for electricity? Well, if there's a lower cost energy produced south of Healy, the amount of that lower cost energy that GVEA can receive is limited, actually stifled, by the current transmission constraints. By adding a second transmission line, it would more than double the amount of energy that can be moved into or from GVEA's system. Additionally, with only one transmission line, if something were to happen to that line, such as an avalanche or a tree coming in contact with a conductor and breaking it, the energy could no longer flow down that line. To go back to the road analogy, if you were to leave Fairbanks and you're driving to Anchorage and the Parks Highway was closed for some reason, you can then take the Richardson Highway down to Glen Allen and the Glen Highway to Anchorage and have an alternative route. In our transmission line, we do not have that alternative route at this moment. So, if it were to go down for any reason, we'd have to wait until that damage is repaired or the problem is fixed. Adding a redundant transmission line would address this problem. You might wonder, why does this matter for Golden Valley and the other railbelt utilities? The uncertainty surrounding the future availability of natural gas in the Cook Inlet has underscored the need for diversification in Alaska's energy sources and the importance of exploring alternative solutions to meet Alaska's energy demands. The railbelt utilities must address this challenge collaboratively and the process to build a more resilient and sustainable energy infrastructure for the future. If nothing else, the current lack of natural gas serves as a stark reminder of just how connected the railbelt utilities are and the importance of collective action by both the utilities and by the state of Alaska. You've heard much about Golden Valley's pursuit of federal funding this evening, but we've also been active in this arena on a broader front. Let's take a look at those efforts.
So last annual meeting, we talked about a series of projects that constitute this rail belt vision. The first is a redundant transmission line that connects the Kenai Peninsula to Beluga. The second is a series of upgrades in new infrastructure between Willow and Healy that would bring redundancy and resiliency to the northern transmission system. The third is a new line that connects the rail belt to the Copper Valley Electric Association, extending upwards towards Delta Junction. And then a series of energy storage projects that would supplement these new transmission lines or upgrades that we are pursuing. Recently, the Alaska Energy Authority received a $206.5 million federal grant for transmission line upgrades. We, along with the other utilities, are working to secure a required state match. This money is to be used for the southern transmission line between the Kenai Peninsula and Beluga. On a parallel effort, we're working with the Alaska Energy Authority and the other railbelt utilities to secure federal funding for the transmission line build-out between Willow and Healy. All these projects, this vision that we are pursuing, is ultimately designed to benefit our member consumers, not only for us, but for the entire rail belt, and to ensure that they have access to the lowest cost power available.
The GRIP funding requires a 100% match, and the rail belt utilities, together with the Alaska Energy Authority, have been feverishly working with the legislators to get that match from the state of Alaska. State investment is needed to significantly reduce the cost of these projects to our members and take advantage of that sizable grant that will be the first stage in addressing the critical infrastructure needs to Alaska's aging electrical infrastructure. This is the first in a series of projects that the Alaska Energy Authority and the railbelt utilities are pursuing to significantly transform the railbelt electric system. In addition to this first phase, stakeholders have submitted concept papers under the second round of GRIP to address the much-needed upgrades and additional redundancy to the backbone transmission system and extend a redundant line to Healy, just like that second parallel highway we talked about earlier. While the first phase of the project does benefit Golden Valley's members, the benefit pales in comparison to what the full project would provide. The future phases would allow Bradley Lake Energy, which is GVEA's lowest cost of power, to be transmitted north from Homer, unconstrained, and enable the grid to safely and reliably integrate large-scale intermittent sources like wind and solar through a placement of multiple battery energy storage systems. Additionally, the imminent Dixon Diversion Project will increase Bradley Lake's output by nearly 50%, making these future phases all the more important for the interior. Collaboration and strategic planning between stakeholders along the rail belt, including the legislature, government agencies, utilities, and community leaders, is required for these projects to become a reality, ultimately allowing the Railbelt grid to provide lower cost, unconstrained power to our members regardless of where it's generated and what that source of energy is. Energy is critical to the backbone of this economy. It powers our homes, our businesses, our communities, and our lives. GVEA's priority is to ultimately reduce and stabilize the cost of energy to our members. But we cannot do this alone. The state must also prioritize affordable energy for all. I can assure our members that GVEA will continue to work tirelessly through all appropriate means to achieve that outcome for the benefit of our members and the communities we serve. With that, I will turn it back over to Tom.
All right, we're getting closer to the end. We've done a lot of talking, and pretty soon it's going to be the members' chance. As you've heard tonight, there is a lot going on at Golden Valley. We encourage everyone to stay tuned to our communication platforms for the most up-to-date information. We also hope you've heard tonight that we're always focused on improvement across all aspects of our operations. You, our members, aid in the process through member comments, and now is the time we would like to hear from you. Each member has 2 minutes to share their comments. This will ensure that everyone has an opportunity to speak. There is a stoplight on the stage. A green light indicates that your time has started, a yellow light that you have 30 seconds left, and a red light indicates that your time is up. The microphones will be shut off at the 2-minute mark, and we'll move on to the next member. So please pay attention to the light to ensure that everyone hears your full comment. If you'd prefer to email your comment, please do so, and they can be submitted to pr@gva.com. Online comments will not be read aloud tonight during the meeting. As a reminder, similar to our board meetings, this is the time for members to share their feedback with GVEA. If there are specific questions during your comments that require a response, GVEA will reach out and respond to those members following the meeting. After the meeting, all the comments summarized and added to the meeting minutes. Members who would like to share comments tonight, please come up to one of the 2 microphones at the front of the auditorium on the left and right sides. Kelly Reynolds and Grace Wilson from our Public Relations Department will assist you. When you get to the microphone, please provide your member card to our staff and be prepared to share your name and district prior to your comments. If you do not have a comment card right now and you want to comment, please come forward so our staff can get you your card. With that, I'll hand it off to our first commenter, and we'll go with this microphone, sir.
Test. Yeah, I have a comment. I got a notice of my capital credit the other day, and this 25-year waiting period seems a little ridiculous. I will have to be 108 years old to get that credit. Makes no sense at all. I think GVEA should consider capital credit for people 65 and older should go to their electric bill immediately without the 25-year wait. It doesn't make any sense that I have to be 108 to get that credit. What happens to my credit when I do die at the end of that 25-year period? Where does it go? Please tell me. I'd like to know.
We'll get you an answer, sir. It's well documented where it goes. You can turn it over to your heirs or anything like that. It's a very regimented.
Do you have a process?
We're not here to answer questions, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay, then I'll make a suggestion. No question. That you have a process where I can sign a piece of paper to assign that credit in 25 years to one of my heirs, so it doesn't have a complicated process. You know, a lot of programs have that process in place now. I think Golden Valley should have that process in place, so I can give you a piece of paper and that money will go to my heirs. But I'd just as soon have it now. Apply it to my power bill, please.
Thank you for your comments. Next up, on the left.
Hello, my name's John Davies. I'm in District 1. Thanks to Dave, appreciate all the conversations. I'm concerned that we move as fast as we can with the diversification. We've heard all the reasons, and I appreciate the work that you're doing. I guess I need to eat this mic here. I appreciate the work that's going on here, and I understand, as I've been told a number of times, it's complicated. I get that. But that's why we hire you guys. You guys are the smart ones that can figure this out and make it happen. So all due deliberate speed. Let's get wind on the line and reduce our bills and stabilize them into the future. Thank you.
I want to thank GVEA's Board of Directors for the excellent job they're doing in running the co-op. And I particularly appreciate the steps that you have taken and are still taking to develop renewable energy to replace fossil fuels. However, GVEA still depends primarily on fossil fuels, especially in winter. And now there's unique opportunities to make substantial progress towards developing wind energy, as you've been saying this evening. This would provide electricity to GVEA at lower and more stable prices than continuing to depend on fossil fuels with their uncertain supply and volatile pricing. There's 2 private Alaskan companies prepared to develop wind farms at Delta and on Murphy Dome near Fairbanks if GVEA signs purchase agreements to buy the electricity they produce. So I urge GVEA to sign these purchase agreements as soon as it becomes feasible. This would meet a large proportion of Fairbanks' electricity needs for the long term, especially in winter when we need it most. It's important to act now while many of the costs will be supported by federal infrastructure grants, as you've been saying. GVEA President Tom DeLong said that GVEA's failure to develop renewable energy more aggressively contributed to the recent price hikes and cost of electricity. So I urge GVEA to move forward as aggressively as possible to develop these renewable sources of energy, particularly wind energy. Thank you.
Sir, could you please state your name and your district? Thank you.
Sorry, Terry Chapin in District 1.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Miguel Ramirez, District 3. I'm sorry, excuse me. You talked about one of your bylaws. I think, if I'm not mistaken, if 10% of the district doesn't vote, you guys don't open up. To me, that's like rigging an election. You should count all votes, number 1. All right. Number 2 is we are Americans. We should stop. Our forefathers didn't die for us to keep somebody shoving down emissions. When world-round scientists have already said the United States produces the lowest emissions in the world. All right, number 1. All right, if people want to use natural gas, if they want to use wind, let them. But those of us that still want to use coal and hydro and oil, let us as well. That is our right as Americans in this country. All right, so the other thing is, I've been in the supply chain command. I did it for the U.S. military for over 24 years. To reduce costs, instead of buying logs from out of the state and having them driven up here, talk to the governor. If you need help talking to him, I can get you there, about getting logging done within our state to provide your own logging for your electrical poles and all that, which would reduce the cost. If I'm not mistaken, if we have our own manufacturing within our state. We have a lot of natural resources in Alaska that we can use. Let's use them. Let's stop the less government and more of us, we the people, run our state. The less federal government, with federal government money comes federal requests. So you find, ladies and gentlemen, have done an outstanding job. Thank you. And my time is almost up. But everybody do the research. The facts are there. Let's work together and get a better Alaska. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Diane Preston. I am in District 2. First off, thanks very much to all of you who are working so hard to incorporate renewables into your grid. This is extraordinarily important. And it's very important in Alaska here, right around our community. The road I live on is getting to be like a washboard. A house in my neighborhood is sinking into the permafrost. It behooves all of us to be as forward-thinking as we possibly can to lower the emissions that are changing our climate. So I urge you to keep working as quickly as you can and with as much diligence as I'm hearing. I appreciate that from all of you at GVEA to get the wind energy online. Do some more solar. Community solar would be really helpful so that people who are renters can also participate in having the benefit of solar energy. Expanding the solar as well as the wind. And there's other things. I'm hearing about the generations from hydro in rivers. I don't think we're doing that up in this area, but I understand it is happening somewhere, and that would be another source. Keep your minds open, please, to all the different possibilities of renewable energy, because this is the only Earth we have, and we are rapidly changing the climate, and we need to all work together. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is David Leslie. I live in District 2. This is the first time in 15 years I've been able to become a GVEA member because I have been a renter, and this is the second time I lived somewhere where I was in charge of my own meter. So I implore you to please allow renters to have a say in what happens in GVEA, as some will live and die as renters and never have a chance to participate. I also want to point out that I'm a Nupiaq, and my traditional people's land of Kotzebue is eroding into the ocean, and I may never get a chance to see it before that happens. So I ask you to use as many renewable energies as possible, not only because it's our responsibility to do our part, but to set an example for larger polluters. I also want to bring up that it was so strange that you did the Pledge of Allegiance and you mentioned under God when we are on the traditional unceded territory of the Lower Tanana Dene people, and there are no Native people. As far as I can tell, I'm sorry if I'm assuming, but there's no Native organizations and no Tanana Dene organizations on the stage. And if you don't have Native involvement, it's not because there aren't natives who are qualified, it's because they've been excluded and not included. And I believe you can do a lot better, especially because Indigenous people are the stewards of our lands. And the amount of white men on this stage is also alarming, considering we live in Alaska. Oh my God, can you guys understand that women and Native people deserve to be heard too? Please allow renters, please do more of a renewable energy. Please diversify your board and the people who are on this place and include Indigenous voices. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Audrey Maurer, and I'm in District 2. I'm here to speak for Harmony Tomaszewski. I've known Harmony for over 30 years. We worked together years ago, and we've continued to stay in touch and be friends. She's a business owner and a lovely wife and mom. I believe she would bring fresh ideas for long-term rate reductions, and excuse me, I believe she'll bring dedicated and strong presence to the board. I don't have a problem that there's all men on the board. I think I appreciate the time that you dedicate to this. I'm sure it's not easy, but I feel like, I know that Harmony has, she's served with the MAC, the Member Advisory Committee, for 5 years in the past. I feel like she's familiar with it. I feel like she could really bring some fresh ideas and fresh energy. So, thank you.
Mike Music, District 2, consumer for over 60 years here in the interior and an owner member for 50 or so years. So that means I may have gotten 2 credits. I don't expect I'll get a third one, but maybe thanks to the first speaker I will. But I'd like to say I'm really positive about the direction we're going. And by we, I mean, of course, the board, but also our community. I think we all understand that we've got a terrible pollution problem here in our city. And the only way that I can think of to really reduce that is to quit burning stuff in our airshed. So one way to do that would be, of course, to employ more renewables and quit burning stuff in our community to the extent that we can get off of fossil fuels being burned where we breathe. I understand that we'll be keeping Healy going for many, many years into the future, but in the meantime, we can bring on wind from Delta, maybe 10,000 solar panels in between, and wind to the north at Shovel Creek, wind down at Healy or Eva Creek, and a concerted demand-side program that perhaps Golden Valley could get going so that we all burn much less energy in our own homes. So I look forward to that, and I look forward for the community to work with the staff and the board and everyone else who requires energy in this community, including industry, mining, institutions, schools, borough buildings. All of that could have solar on it, for example. All of that could benefit from winterization. Thank you very much.
How's this thing work? Like that? Yes, my name is Bonnie Colser, District 5, and I'm not happy. I just got my Golden Valley electric bill, and it's 10 times what it used to be. But I did want to say that I would like to vote for Harmony Tomaszowski to be on the Golden Valley Electric Board. I've lived here for almost 40 years, and it's very disconcerting to see the way things are going in this state and in the country and in the Fairbanks area. More and more harder to work, excuse me, I'm so nervous. It's harder and harder to pay my bills. I'm sure I'm not the only one. So I think that Harmony would bring long-term rate reduction plan. We need a fresh new voice for Golden Valley Board. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name's Sarah Furman. I'm in District 2. I was disappointed by the recent decision to postpone the closing of the Healy 2 coal plant. I was even more disappointed with the next electric bill I got. The Healy 2 plant is costly, inefficient, riddled with issues, not to mention continuing to rely on coal is just contributing to our poor air quality and poor health outcomes for the people in this area. And I know I understand that there weren't other options at the time, which to me, and you've spoken about this, is a clear indication of the need to diversify our power sources, specifically with renewable energy sources. And not only do we need to do this to ensure that we're not relying on volatile markets and relying on energy sources from down in the Cook Inlet, but it's increasingly clear that switching to renewables is the most economical and long-term reliable option. And according to the NREL study, they confirmed that switching to 76% renewable energy by 2040 is both achievable and affordable. It's the cheapest way forward and could pass $1.3 billion in savings to ratepayers. I'd love that. I'd love to see that. And I know there's still things you've talked about that we need to upgrade in our system, but I just urge you to do that with the most efficiency possible. Thank you.
Okay. Charlotte Basham, District 1. I just want to thank the board for the difficult work you've been doing, for navigating all the issues that have come up. And I also want to say, I just want to respond to something the gentleman said earlier and encourage you to include Indigenous perspectives, Indigenous knowledge in your deliberations. I think we have a lot to learn about how to live sustainably, as people, the indigenous people, did for thousands of years. I also want to say that I was really encouraged tonight to hear of the projects that are going on in sustainability and cutting carbon emissions and developing the renewable sources. I know I testified years ago, and it seemed like that was a new concept. So I'm really happy to see that things are moving along, and I want to encourage you to do that. I also want to say something about rate increases. Yeah, nobody likes to pay more, but I think if we have the attitude that we're investing in the future, and that I would like to see a sustainable future for my grandchildren and for the children. And so thinking forward, and appreciate all that you are doing. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Layla Pyle. I'm a GVEA member from District 2. I'm also a renter, so I'll also uplift the comment that was made earlier that I'll just encourage, even though this is a democratic process, I really appreciate that as member owners, we're able to come forward, just y'all on the board make decisions not only for your district, but for the good of all members of GVEA. We also consider our community members that are not members, and that we are also here to make decisions for the good of our community. So yeah, I'm now a several-year resident of here in Fairbanks, but I'm originally from Kodiak. When I was in high school there, that's when Kodiak put up the 6 wind turbines that now produce almost 20% of Kodiak's power. And as a young person, it was incredibly inspiring to see my community making decisions that invested in my future and the future of my community. So I'm here to thank GVEA for the steps that it's made already towards putting renewables online, and encourage you to continue to do the same. Renewable energy is the way that we make the investment in the future of our community, as well as continuing to make strides to make sure that the voices of our community and all of our residents are represented. I'm here at this meeting because everyone in Fairbanks relies on the power from GVEA. I think it's great that we're member owners, and I just wanted to make my voice heard and say renewables are the way forward, and that's what I support you guys investing in. Thank you.
Patrice Lee, District 4, and I'd like to thank my rep, Gary Newman, for all the times that he calls back very quickly and is responsive to my questions. And as you all have worked tirelessly for hours and hours and hours to try to get this right. Air quality continues to be a serious health and economic issue. During the next 3 years, while we're trying to clean up our air, GVEA will need to burn tens of millions of gallons of diesel and naphtha to generate electricity after the loss of Cook Inlet gas, the continued non-performance of Healy 2, and the serious problems with Eva Creek wind. The extra fuels needed for generation are very likely to sink our chances of improving air quality, which will continue to exacerbate the serious bad health effects known to be caused by excessive levels of pollution. The Delta Wind Farm is shovel-ready and is the most ready of any project to produce clean energy. This generation has no downside that we can see and is needed to offset some of the fuel needed for generation. Please finish the Delta Wind Farm Amoresco generation as soon as possible. I understand that it also has its own storage available up to 4 hours, and that could be increased. Interior Alaska needs its own energy plan, as well as an improved short-term and long-term strategic plan for power generation. We should not be left to the mercy of the entire rail belt from Homer to Fairbanks, although I totally understand the reasons for cooperation. I do think plans that meet all of our generation needs are an earshot away: decarbonization, much lower costs, debt elimination, reliable baseload power. Wouldn't it be wonderful if it could be for 100 years? Cleaner air, a more vibrant economy. Thank you.
Hi there, Tristan Glova, District 1. I want to thank you all for the very informative and really just insightful presentation, and really all the hard work that workers and leadership of GVEA are doing right now. As a young member owner, I really appreciate the chance to come here, the cooperative practice, the fact that we do have the opportunity to engage in energy democracy here. It's really, really awesome. And since cooperatives are meant to represent their people, I do want to echo the importance of bringing more of our community in who are not represented here. I think, renters in particular often face the impacts of your decisions, but don't necessarily have a voice here. I specifically also wanted to reflect the concern I feel and hear from other young Fairbanksons about not just the cost of living, but also the impacts of the climate crisis and the real inadequacy of the response from our institutions to address it. People see the fact that the Arctic is warming almost 4 times faster than the rest of the world. They see the impacts of worsening wildfires, thawing permafrost, coastal communities eroding to the ocean, and they wonder where the leadership is. We have world-class research here at UAF documenting the impacts of climate change, but little in the way of action to address them. And while it's not just on Fairbanks to solve the problem, the good news is that the clean renewable energy that does reduce our emissions is also the solution to avoiding these energy price spikes. Renewables just keep getting cheaper, and the Cook Inlet gas crisis should be a wake-up call. We need to transition and diversify away from expensive and dirty fossil fuels. I will say I really commend the strategic generation plan. I think it's a great way to lower both costs and emissions, but I think we need to just have more progress securing that wind power, replacing expensive, dirty power from Healy 2. So I ask you to take the moment as seriously as it deserves and keep moving full force towards affordable, reliable, sustainable energy. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Sarah Hudson with District 1. I'd like to say I am a proponent of renewable energy. I think what global warming can do, especially up here in Alaska, is pretty terrifying. But at the same time, I think we need to be careful. I think we need to not just focus on, I'll say, the thing of the moment. We need to take our time and make sure we get it right. I hear about free wind energy, free solar energy, and would remind people that there isn't that proverbial free lunch. Everything comes with consequences. Everything comes with downsides. We need to make sure that we know what those are, and we also need to not get over-focused on reducing our electric bills at the cost of other things. I don't like a high electric bill either, believe me, but we have to get there the right way. So I would say thank you for taking your time. I'd like to see changes, but I want us to do them right. And the other thing I wanted to say on a happy note is a big shout out to everybody who gets out in the cold and the snow and the wet and puts our lines back up and fixes our transformers, because when those lights come back on in the winter, you're my hero, big time. So thank you very much. I never get a chance to say that, so I wanted to say that now.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Wachter. I am District 3. I just want to say thank you for looking at diversifying where we're getting our energy, and please continue. There's a lot of changes going on, and the best way we can react to unexpected changes is to have a broad source of energy. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Reniva Moss, District 3. I want to thank you for your service, and I also want to thank you for the $200 capital credit I got this year. It paid about half of my month's electric bill. I had a couple of questions. First of all, Senator Coghill, one of the last things he did when he left the legislature was to get legislation passed that would create EROs, and I'd like to know the status of those. I also want to comment on the fact that 50 years plus ago, I can remember when we'd be without power for a week at 40 below, and I haven't seen that for decades, and I really appreciate that. And then last of all, I have a big concern about the controversy that's going on with the gold dirt that's being hauled from Toke. My concern is if Fort Knox has to scale down, what's going to happen to our electric bills? Because right now, they're bailing us out of a lot of expense in electricity. And I would like to know the repercussions of them slowing down. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Richard I, District 3. When I started building my house out of pocket back in the mid-'80s, I had a very positive interaction with the Golden Valley from the onset. And since then, I've always had very high regard for the Golden Valley people there. And one more thing, I want to preface that. A big shout out to the guys who keep replacing my transformer circuit breaker that squirrels keep blowing. It never stops. And it could be roadkill. I don't eat squirrel though. When I heard Harmony Tomaszewski was running for GVEA Board of Directors, I thought, okay, let me see. She and Frank, who I've known 16 years, have 2 successful businesses. Harmony understands efficiency. Why, I run a business, so efficiency is number 1. She started up probably, I think it's the 2nd largest food bank in Fairbanks. It works in harmony with the Fairbanks Food Bank. I was waiting. She's been a 5-year member of GVEA's advisory committee board, so she's been into it. And I was thinking, okay, I've known Harmony for these 16 years. She's smart, she's innovative, diligent, and she would be a rock-solid choice for getting new talent on the GVEA board. Thanks.
Hello, everybody. My name is Matthew Munn, District 1. I just want to take a moment to talk up the Member Advisory Committee. I've served on it for 4 years now. And one thing I learned is that a lot of power cooperatives in Alaska do not have this committee, especially if you have the different groups that have talked tonight to apply and get onto the committee. The board asks us to work on all kinds of projects, the community solar, the on-bill financing, getting into the real detail of the strategic production plans. And so it's really, really insightful. They are also really responsive. When they've come to us with a plan and we're like, whoa, 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 that was not like, well, the direction that we thought you should go. They actually change directions. It's not like, that we're just there to listen to them talk. They're there to listen to us talk. So I just wanted to talk up that, and thank you so much.
Harriet Clan, District 4. Rates have increased. The need for electricity has increased. But however, the sources of energy cannot be limited to just renewable sources at any cost. I would really urge the GVEA to look at all the areas of energy, not just renewables. And also to this fact, or in line with this, I would suggest that Harmony Tomaszewski, candidate for District 4, who is knowledgeable, and one of her aims is to lower the price of our costs. So I urge everyone in District 4 to vote for Harmony. Thank you.
Ken Cokier, District 1. I haven't heard any mention of micronuclear power, and that's getting to be almost commercially available now. There's a lot of benefits. Some of them that I know about are you're using spent reactor rods from the major nuclear reactors. That answers a lot of the disposal problem. These things are almost operator-free. You bury the thing for 25 or 50 years and take your power from it. So I hope that you guys are looking seriously at micronuclear. Thanks.
My name is Mary Burtness, and I've been an owner member since 1986, and I'm District 1. Thank you, Dave, for representing me. I, like everyone else, was really disappointed to hear about the rate hikes and the delay of closing Healy 2. I feel like it is a wake-up call that depending on fossil fuels will always be a gamble and always guarantees increase in price. It makes so much more sense to diversify our energy portfolio, wind, hydro, solar, etc. I know GVEA has been aggressively pursuing money from various sources. I've been attending several meetings and have been listening to all of that and excited about that. I applaud you for that, and I'm glad that you keep on that path. I also want to thank you for the wonderful presentation. I had lots of questions, and many of them were answered. But finally, I attended one GVEA meeting that I thought, wow, this is a great idea. Gary Newman of District 4 suggested a voluntary program to help keep costs down. Very simple. It was a text alert system to members during the dead of winter during the high peak usage times. You could get a text. It says, we're going into high use, and maybe you at your home can go, why do I have all the lights on? Or why is my car plugged in now when it doesn't need to be plugged in tomorrow? And it seems like a small thing, but I think it's a fabulous community outreach attempt, and I hope you pursue that. And thanks, Gary, for bringing that up.
Molly Lehman, and I'm in District 1. So we have been swayed by costs before. The selective catalytic reduction system on Healy 1 was explored nearly 20 years ago. We could have had it then. We didn't, not because we didn't think it could lower emissions or didn't affect environmental factors. We did it because we decided the cost outweighed those environmental factors. I ask that you consider the generational impact of not investing in renewables. We are blessed with gifts we have not earned. Those gifts are soil that grows our food, air to breathe, water to drink, and the power of the sun. They are given to us freely. It is our moral and spiritual imperative to use the resources we have been blessed with in wise ways and to consider all the generations that come after us.
Name's Cyrus Cooper out of District 7. I'm a candidate with my friend Mr. Adams up there because we all believe in what we're trying to achieve here, which is an association that provides sustainable, reliable power at a responsible cost. I think that we have failed to achieve our goals, first and foremost, because right now we have strategic planning revisions that are underway, yet we don't have established, published milestones that we can see. We don't have objectives to reach those milestones, yet we're all working so hard to get there. Amusing, since nobody else knows how hard we're working towards what we're working. When it comes to looking at our footprint, the young lady just gave us a little insight that 20 years ago, Plant 1 could have been taken care of and was not. Doesn't matter how or why, we missed an opportunity. I would suggest to you that we're moving at the pace of snail right now. Other locations in this country have already achieved what we're saying we're trying to work for, and yet we don't learn from them, and we don't adapt their ways quickly. We don't prove the technology is going to work here before we say, let's embrace it and spend money on it. Anybody want to venture what Eva Creek cost? $92 million for 28% efficiency. Wow, can I get another dose of that? And yet we're talking about renewables. Wind power, I believe in it. I'm a total energy guy. Total energy. I'm asking you to consider that as opposed to nitpicking political opportunity of the moment. You have the largest supply of coal in this state, in Healy, readily available. You're getting ready to put a workforce out of work because it was politically convenient. By the way, 10 years ago, you had the opportunity to fix the engineering problems with Plant 2. You didn't do it then. Why? Thank you.
Hi, Mara Degerlin, District 4, and I own a home. And
I don't have a problem with all the men on the board. It has to do with who actually applies and who we vote for. It's not based on because I'm a gal, you're a guy, I'm white, black, anything else. It's who applies and who we voted for as a membership. As for renewable resources, I'm great with that. I have an airplane. I have a cabin out in the woods. We run solar. What do you do when the wind isn't blowing and the sun isn't shining? Well, you plug in that generator. How many of you are waiting for grandma and grandpa to die on your ventilators at the hospital when the wind isn't blowing and the sun isn't shining? Are you out there pedaling your little bike to keep grandma going? You cannot go 100% renewable energy. We just can't. We are in Alaska. So while the idea is great and I'm 100% for it, that is what we use at our cabin, you need to have a backup plan. So have your bike ready. And I really appreciate the balloon animals and the food and the guys and all the work that you guys have done. My kids really appreciated it. So keep up the good work. I appreciate you. And I expect before I die, I should get at least 3 dividends. So thank you so much. And if you would like to see more women on the board, I encourage more women to apply. I believe there were 3 men applying for District 7. Oh, no. 2 men and a woman. So really, the ratios are there. There's no women applying for District 4, or no, 1 of each. Anyway, the ratios are not there. And I'm a teacher, I'm a pilot, I'm a mother of 4, I'm a wife. I'm not belittled because I'm not a man. I am a powerful woman. I know where I stand. God is good.
My name's Aurora Bowers. I'm in District 2. And I was born and raised here in Fairbanks, and as someone who calls this beautiful place home, I feel it's my duty to work to protect the place I love. We may be a drop in a bucket here in the interior as far as carbon emissions are concerned, but this is our home to take care of and to be responsible for. Like most others here, I imagine, I want Fairbanks to be a livable community, which means predictable and affordable energy rates, breathable air, and a livable climate. The effects of climate change are already impacting our community and communities across the state, including worsening wildfire seasons, snowfall rates that our infrastructure isn't prepared for, increased permafrost thaw, and unpredictable freeze-thaw events. Although the causes of these climate impacts are global, I believe we need to address it locally because I believe we're all responsible for taking care of our own home. But because GVEA has stayed reliant on expensive, unreliable, and polluting fossil fuel sources like the Healy 2 coal plant and Cook Inlet natural gas that we just saw was the cause of our rate hikes, we've been stuck with increasingly expensive utility bills. Meanwhile, these same fossil fuel sources are having damaging impacts to our air quality and the climate. We need to switch to more reliable, affordable, and clean sources of energy as soon as possible. As others have mentioned, the recent report from the Department of Energy just showed that Alaskan rail belt utilities could switch to 76% renewable energy by 2040, and it would save ratepayers $1.3 billion over that time. So we know now that what's good for the climate is also good for our pocketbooks, and there are no excuses. It's long past time to make the changes we need, and we need the board to aggressively pursue alternatives to Healy 2 and Cook Inlet gas as quickly as possible in order to secure a sustainable future and a livable home here in the interior. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jules Evergreen. I'm local. I went to school here since elementary at Wood River. I remember Ms. Brashear talking about the air quality and how poor it was right around town. Ever since then, I've been kind of an environmentalist. I go to UAF right now. I'm an electrical engineering student. I studied power and control as my concentration. I've been kind of involved with ASAP. And I'd just like to make a few concrete suggestions because I've heard a lot of words today, and I don't know, I have a few ideas. I've noticed that the tree line, I really feel like you could cut the trees a little wider around the lines, like honestly. It's like, obviously that's one of the biggest issues is the trees hitting the lines. Like just please add like a couple more feet to that. If you just looked around, you'd see it's really close. I have like 2 more things here. I think you do a lot more our local grid being in the interior Alaska with all this forest and no one living here, we could do more collaboration with biofuel, just straight up logging, just burning wood like everyone's done forever. would be good, or maybe working with the intensive marijuana industry that we have in this state. There's a lot of excess food scraps in restaurants, and also excess scraps from the people making weed. You could also just start growing industrial hemp too, and like, I don't know, expand upon that idea, and take resources from other industries that are like scraps, just to generate heat, or electricity. I reduced my own electric bill like half or more because like my dad was guilt tripping me, but also because I took a class that said use a power strip, unplug your car, have a timer. Very simple public PSA like that doesn't really require hundreds of dollars of random university classes. I feel like you could just tell people, here, reduce your electricity demand, and it's going to help everybody out.
All right. It looks like we're at the end of member comments, and it's time for our prize drawings. Stay in your seat. You must be present to win. All members who registered for tonight's meeting were added to a drawing, and names were randomly selected to win one of 4 $500 electric credits to be applied directly to your account. You must be present to win. When I call your name, please stand so we can confirm you're still present. Maybe make some noise too. If we call a name and the person is not present, we will go to the next randomly selected name. And the winners of our 4 credits are, drum roll please, Gary Woody, District 4. Gary, you here? There he is. Gary Woody, District 4. Stick around, we'll be in touch. Heidi Tichnell, District 2. Heidi, a MAC member, no less. Robert Hanson, District 3. Where's Robert? We're clapping for him, but is he here? Come on, Robert, are you out there? Robert Hanson, District 3, going once. Going twice. Robert, oh man, you're missing out. He must have been here at one point. We're moving on. The next member and winner is William Stewart, District 1. William, are you here? There he is. All right. I think this will be our last one, and I understand we've got lots more in case Maylin Perez Sanchez is not here. Maylin Perez Sanchez, District 2. Are you here? Oh man, that's killing me. You were here. Maylin, going once. Going twice. Maylin missed out. Oh, I think we know who this is. Reneva Moss, District 3. Congratulations, Reneva. All right, that takes care of our 4, does it not? Before we sign off, we would like your feedback on tonight's meeting. In everything we do, Golden Valley is always looking to improve, and that includes our annual members meeting. We hope you found this evening's meeting informational and worthwhile. Share your thoughts this evening by filling out a brief survey link on the screen. As an added incentive, members who complete the survey within 1 week will be entered to a drawing to win 10,000 Alaska Air Miles. Thank you for joining us this evening, and good night, everyone.